Alright folks, welcome to Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Just a quick update, the merch store will be up and running by Friday. Other people, if you're on the Discord or you're on the Patreon, you do have early access to it, so I hope you're enjoying that at the moment. And if you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below, the Patreon button is also down below, and also if you're getting any models of 10th edition, make sure you get them through Composite Games, because they do a promo code Northern Exile to get 5% off at checkout, and it also helps out the channel, so do whatever you can. Let's do some Hobby Nightmares, shall we? Oh, I swear, like, I love doing these because I get to just sit here and have a yarn with you for a little bit. I've recently sorted out my sleeping pattern, right? Touch wood, it's going to stay that way. But I used to be quite nocturnal in that I would work through the night because I'd get home from work and then I'd write scripts for the channel, and then I'd do a bit of research for stuff I'm going to cover on the channel, then I'd have dinner, then I'd settle things down in the house, then I'd play a few video games, and finally I'd get to chill out, you know what I mean? I'd play video games at about 10 o'clock, through to about 2, 3, 4, and then by that time, I struggled to sleep, so I'd be getting to sleep at like 5 in the morning, and it wasn't really conductive, so I had to stay up late one night, and I timed it with WrestleMania as well, because I was going to have to stay up late anyway, and I'm more tired now that I'm getting up early in the morning than I was before I actually sorted out my sleeping pattern, which is weird, but there you go. I guess it takes the body a few days to go, huh? And I get used to it. But hey, I'm in a better mood. I've noticed that I'm more tired, but I'm in a better mood. Odd. Anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's get on to our first Hobby Nightmare, which is from Rambly. I've just used the word rambling. There we go. It's from Rambly. He says, Hey Northern. This happened a little while back, so sorry if it's a bit rambly, as I'm trying to remember and write this whilst at work. No problem. And thank you for those of you who go out of your way to write these. You know, some of them are really heartfelt and I like them. I can't read all of them out because some of the ones I get aren't really Hobby Nightmare-ish or don't really cover something that's part of the theme for that week. So if you have sent them to me and we have conversed, then, you know, thank you for sending them. So this story begins with a friend of mine who I will call Jeff. Some background on Jeff. Jeff is 25, and since graduating as one of the popular leadership club kids in high school, has become kind of your classic incel. For those of you who don't know, incel means involuntarily celibate. I've seen this is Northern talking, by the way. I've seen this a few times, and somebody says, a guy who doesn't have intercourse is an incel. No, he isn't. That's not what incel means. Incel means involuntarily celibate. It means he wants to, but he can't. Okay? Yeah, because nobody wants to do it with him. If somebody chooses not to get involved with intercourse or with the opposite sex, that does not make them an incel. They're celibate. They're just, you know, voluntarily celibate. Or they're a volcel, maybe. Voluntarily celibate. Anyway. By that I mean he is a hardcore drinker, usually drinking around half a handle, about a litre, of vodka minimum a night. Whoa, a litre of vodka a night. He smokes a ton of weed, stays up all night, sleeps until about 3 PM until he has to get up to go to work, is very Christian, even though he doesn't go to church and probably couldn't even name a single Bible passage, thinks all women are hooers, and still lives with his dad and his dad's girlfriend. Okay, so this guy looks like a train wreck. Let's get on with it. Jeff doesn't have many friends. No kidding. So I was always trying to invite him out with some mutual friends of mine. This often goes poorly, as he constantly says very strange and outlandish things to women at the bar, which on a few occasions resulted in random women coming up to me out of the blue and telling me something along the lines of, "Your friend is making me very uncomfortable, can you keep him away from me, please?" And I have almost been beaten up by bouncers at 2 different strip clubs because of him. Then why is he still around, dude? Alright, so here's the thing. One, I hope this gets hobby related in a minute, because they should be hobby related. Number 2, there are some people that you offer a hand to. That they're sitting on the floor. They're sitting on the floor and they're very depressed. So you're walking past and you offer them a hand. Hey dude, you know, I'm here for you. What do you need? You know, come on, let's go out together. I'll try and get you out of your hole. If they act really poorly, or they're assholes, or they go out of their way to make other people feel uncomfortable because they're toxic and they haven't learned their lessons, then you need to drop them. They need to go back in the gutter. Alright? You need to go, right, okay. Back you go. Alright? I'm going to do a lap of life. It might take a year, might take a few years, might take 6 months. And then I'll come back and I'll see you again in the gutter. I will then offer you another hand to see if you're ready to be helped yet. Some people are not ready to be helped. Okay? There are some things, it's like being a drug addict. To get free of being a drug addict, you have to want to be clean. If you don't want to be clean, or if you don't think you can, or you think it's going to be too hard, you're never going to be clean. That person's never going to make it stick. You can only help people who want to be helped. Okay? And even then, there should definitely be some sort of parameters around your help. So yeah, I'll help you, but you're going to have to behave yourself. I'm sorry, but I will help you, of course. But you're going to have to behave yourself and fit within these parameters of behaviour, or I'm not going to be helping you, you know? Anyway. Still, being his friend, we would usually just play video games when I had the time to. I got him into Total War Warhammer 2, which he thought was awesome, and told him all about the lore and characters I loved. Unfortunately, I could never get him into tabletop because, as you know, Games Workshop nuked the old world and wrote some stuff that would make our Tumblr fanfic writers say, holy shit, that's bad, in Age of Sigmar. But oh well, yeah, I know. Well, you can actually play the old world, man. The rules are still out there. You can just, you know, download them and play them. It's not as if, you know, you just can't play them in Games Workshop stores or official Games Workshop events. It just is what it is. I have a group of people I currently play 40k with, but since I'm not into 40k as a setting that much, heresy, I never really talked about it with him. He told me he hates the guy at whose house we play 40k at because he unironically thinks he's a pedo because he did acid with him in high school and, in his words, saw demons inside of him. Dude, what is this dude doing in your life? This dude needs a wake-up call. Honestly. Lost cause. So Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires comes out, and we were super hyped to play the giant map with all the factions. We played on and off just because of my own time constraints, and also because those games take forever. Well, one night we logged in to play, and I could tell he was kind of aggravated. The night before we played a battle where as Tyrion fought against the giant battle with Malekith, and he lost due to being greatly outnumbered. Usually, in battles like that, we just give each other the cavalry, because microing 8 to 10 cav units whilst trying to manage keeping unit cohesion against a 3-stack Dark Elf line is nightmarish. He was super mad his Phoenix and a couple of Silver Helms died, and he kept commenting about how I suck at the game, etc. I told him he thinks he's the next Napoleon. If he thinks he's the next Napoleon, he could do the battle himself from now on, to which his army was destroyed and routed in moments. Shit. That's not going to go down well with this combustible person. A couple of hours later, whilst instantly and constantly grumbling about random things, he was very angry that I, as Balthazar Gelt, made a non-aggression pact with Cetra. He basically had a full-on meltdown and started whining about how I always pick Tomb Kings as a faction and always show them favoritism. Wow, dude. I said to him something along the lines of, yeah, well, as you know, Chadthazar Gelt is the master of metal, and if it wasn't for Arcan, Cetra would have been resurrected with a fully golden dong. So the alliance makes sense if you think about it. To that he responded with a very snide comment about my ex-girlfriend, who he knows I've had a very storied past with, and who, because of, I did unjust jail time, whoa, and had to spend thousands of dollars in court because of her. Perhaps a story for another time. That immediately snapped me out of my banterish mood, and I told him that the comment wasn't cool, to which he doubled down and said further inappropriate things. Okay, so in these stories, right, sometimes people send me stories and they say, oh yeah, and then I did jail time because of that. But anyway, moving on. No, tell me about that. What's gone on there? That sounds like a much more interesting story. Might not be about the hobby, though. Anyway, I told him I was getting off for the night and abruptly ended the game and Discord call. The next day, after cooling off and having time to think about what I was going to say, I texted him and told him I still considered him a friend, but that for the time being, I didn't want to hang out or play games with him, and I was also taking him off of my American Express card account, which I added him to because he always complained about not having any credit and wanting to build it. He tried to tell me he didn't even remember what he said, and after I told him I didn't believe him, and also that it didn't matter, he sent me this long text which he basically said he was sorry in, but I was a bitch for taking it that way, and that I needed to learn what honor is, and how much honor and loyalty, how honor bound and loyal he was towards his friends and whatnot. Okay. Have you noticed toxic people who generally only ever have negative things to say? People who get angry and get into arguments all of the time, and they don't see what the one common denominator is. I've had friends like that. I've had friends be like getting into arguments with everybody around them all the time, right? And they just say, well, they're little bitches. They can't take my clean humor. You know, not my clean humor, but my dark humor. My clean wit. They can't take it. So, they don't like me. If you don't like me, that's fine. Well, at the end of the day, there is also an adult response to a lot of these things, in knowing, hey, what's the one common denominator in all of these situations? Oh, it's me. It's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Now, when I say problem, I don't mean you need to change every facet of your personality, but maybe dial back the bits that are just like turning people off. Or accept the fact that you're going to be alone, but that you're going to drive everybody else away whenever they get close to you. Just is what it is. The fact that you were helping this guy build his credit as well, that's a big thing to do, man. That's a big thing to do. It's a very trusting thing to do. I told him he needs to go outside and stop with his preachy Christian bullshit, as I actually went to a Christian school until college, and the only reason he calls himself a Quaker is because he doesn't know anything about the Bible and wants to be one of those Deus Vult keyboard crusaders. Oh my god, cringe. And that his BS apology was just empty words, to which he sent me another long message trying to antagonize me, so I just got fed up and blocked him on everything. Jeff tried to make up a sob story to my friends, but none of them believed him because of their own previous encounters with him, and just either blocked him as well or told him off. Fast forward to this week. Okay, we go have a conclusion. I like this. One of my friends who I play 40k with, let's call him Dave, had some trouble with his girlfriend cheating on him a while back. Dave and the dude she cheated with, I guess, have some bad blood from before that, and they got into a couple of fist fights, and I guess the other dude went to jail for allegedly beating her up and she went running back to Dave. Okay. Are all your friends like in jail? Like this is going on a lot. I told him to drop her like a bad habit, relationship-wise, not with his fists. But I have sympathy towards the guy because of my aforementioned ex. Okay. Who is in my... sorry, I will read that again. But I have sympathy towards the guy because of my aforementioned ex, who is in my 40k group, and even larger non-40k friend group called Horace. Okay. Well, in the Wargaming group, Dave sends a photo of the front of his house, which has been graffitied with some nonsense, and a window that was smashed with a brick. Unfortunately, directly behind that window was Dave's desk, which just so happened to have his Tyranid army on it. Well, due to the neighbour's security cameras, we were able to see that the person who threw the brick was none other than Jeff, with the help of the guy Dave hates. What? And one of their other loser friends. Unfortunately, Dave's army was completely annihilated, The only models that weren't completely obliterated were a couple of Termagants and one Lictor. Myself and some of the other guys went over to help Dave clean up and replace his window. Dave was obviously bummed, but wasn't super distraught, and even joked that me as a Necron player probably never saw such a beautiful sight as so many dead bugs. Being the hardcore painter of the group, I told Dave that I would help him when he gets his new models. He is super excited for the new Tyranid range and updated sculpts that just got revealed a few days after the fiasco. The colour schemes for the unknown high fleets they just announced has me genuinely excited, as they look super awesome, and the idea of getting them to look better than the box art has brought me out of the current painting lull I am in currently. So, now I've got a crazy ex, Horace, the ex-friend who is a preachy incel, Lorgar, and the guy who likes beating his girlfriend and vandalism, Angron. And while not being strapped to the Golden Throne, I do have a pacemaker and an autoimmune disorder. It begs the question, does Warhammer imitate life, or does life imitate Warhammer? Sorry that was so long, and thank you for the content that you do as always. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much, man. Cheers. Thank you. Awesome story. I hesitate to call bullshit on some of it because, you know, you don't look great in there, and you do say a lot of things about yourself which are quite, let's say, traumatizing, I guess. But do all your friends end up in jail? Like, what is going on? Like, where do you live? Oh my god. Anyway, moving on. Crom says, "Hi North, it's Crom from the Discord." Hi Crom. "My reason for writing is because of how much the Discord has helped me over the past few months. More specifically, the voice lobby that I've been pretty active in the past few months. To give you a little context about myself, I've been studying for the past 5 years to become a qualified teacher, but the past 2 years have been really tough. I failed my PGCE. Your PGCE, by the way, is the UK equivalent of a teaching diploma. I failed my PGCE, retook it, then ended up dropping out as I couldn't keep up with the workload, entirely wasting 2 years of my life. It's not a waste, dude. Not if you go back and finish. It's not a waste. As you can imagine, I was absolutely crushed. Compounded by all the previous lockdowns, I had become quite reclusive, lacked a lot of my confidence, and my self-esteem was completely wrecked. I didn't have any friends anymore because of the amount of time I was working and studying. Primary school PGCE is honestly 6 AM to 1 AM, solid lesson planning, evaluations and teaching. It isn't easy. No man, it's not. It's not. I will say, the American equivalent of the PGCE is a piece of piss. It's so easy. They just throw the diploma at you. Like, I was in there. I mean, I worked hard, don't get me wrong. I was doing essays and stuff, but it was like a normal university course where you're just doing essays, you know, interviews. It was so wishy-washy. And the school I was at was really good as well. When they placed me in the school and they passed me with flying colours. Dude, it was so easy. The PGCE is so much harder. Teachers in the UK have such a bad hand compared to other nations. Like, in the US, people think teachers are really badly treated, you know? It's nothing compared to the UK. The UK, oh my god, like, there's no way. And that's why I went to private. As soon as I got back to the UK, I went into schools for like a year and I was done. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. This is not what I worked so hard for. Go fuck yourself. And go fuck yourself and throw your kids in the sea. Horrible, entitled little brats. Get rid of them. Don't want them anywhere near me. See you later. And I left. And I went to private sector. And now I'm enjoying teaching again. Because I'm able to work my own hours, set my own deadlines, you know, work as much or as little as I want. But the PGCE is really difficult to get in the UK. It is. It's not easy. Which is incredible considering there's a huge shortage of teachers in the UK, and you keep seeing advertisements on the telly saying, oh, we need teachers, we need teachers, we need teachers. Then make it easier then to get in. And make it easier to stay. Okay? Make it easier to stay. Things in the UK are just backwards. Backwards. Anyways, reading on. One evening, I checked onto your Discord and saw a couple of the lads in the voice lobby, so I jumped in. This changed everything for me. Within a couple of weeks, I wasn't nervous about talking to people anymore. I'd signed on a TEFL, Teaching English as a Foreign Language course, and I was smashing the gym out hard as fuck. I got myself back on track due to the support and amazing conversation with the lads. I have a new plan for the future, and I'm taking active steps to achieve it. I've learnt about tax write-offs, a Gregorian and classical music theory, how to move tons of building material, and more. I know who the building material was from. I know who that was from. We have debated and discussed theology, global politics, and sociology, and I now probably have no more about Starship Troopers than I'd ever need to know. I have laughed myself to tears until my ribs hurt days later. God bless you, Gremlin, you absolute unit. The movies we watch together on a Friday night are also a great time. I'd highly recommend people to come along to it. You will probably watch something you've never even thought to watch before. If anyone out there is having a difficult time, I implore you to join in the Discord and jump into the voice chat. We are usually on around at like 6 PM to 11 PM UK time most days. If you have a problem and want to brainstorm some ways to fix it with some really solid lads, then please come. We would love to have you. If you just want to come in and have a great conversation with some fantastic blokes and have a laugh, then jump in the lobby. You know, I'm actually writing this while sitting on a train, travelling to Nottingham to meet up with some of the lads from the voice lobby. We are going to Warhammer World, Hooters, and wherever else the weekend takes us. It just throws in Hooters. I love it. Oh my god. So to the lads, Charlie, Sai, Loken, Steer, Shoots, Nemagon, Lucas, Gremlin, Maud, and anyone else that I can't remember off the top of my head, thank you for being such great company. Cheers, Crom. No worries, man. That's awesome. That's awesome, and I can't think of a better advertisement for the Discord than that. The link is on the community section of the YouTube channel. Just head on over there, as if you're looking for my details, and it's all there. And I update it once every couple of weeks so people can get in. So yeah, come along, have some fun, and yeah, have a little chat in the Discord. I'm really glad it's working for you guys, though. Our next Hobby Nightmare is from Hollow Jake, but one second whilst I take a sip of tea because my throat is getting dry. Ah, there we go. It is tea now, yeah. So, Hollow Jake says, Hi North, Hollow Jake here. I'm a physicist who works at the University of St Andrews, and I am in complete love with 40k, and I have been since I was 6 years of age. Good lad. The hobby, in fact, takes up most of my free time, as when I get home from work and teaching, I am generally quite tired. So I had to turn the page there. At the moment, I have been diagnosed with depression, and I cannot logically say why I have this thing in my head at all. My life's good, things are going really well, but I just cannot seem to get out of bed in the morning or figure out a reason to do anything of note. Alright, before I go anywhere, I want to just talk about that. In 40k, and in Games Workshop in general, and in Warhammer in general, wargaming, we have a lot of nerds. And nerds tend to have higher IQs than most people. Some of the smartest people I know, and some of the most brilliant people I know mentally, are all wargamers. Or they are people that I've met through the hobby. I've met physicists like yourself, I've met biologists, I've met doctors, I've met lawyers, I've met judges, actual judges, barristers, through the hobby. It is a sensational group of people. But the thing is, they've all got very high IQs, or very high logical brains, that they can figure out problems, and they start to define their own self-worth through figuring out problems. Which is fair enough, you know. The issue is, when somebody like that gets depressed, depression is an emotional problem, not a logical one. And so they will start to try and figure out why they're depressed and to try and fix the problem through logic. and they can't. And that just leads them down into a spiral because their entire self-esteem is built up in solving problems, big and small, with their brains. If they can't solve depression with their brains, it leads them to self-hate and self-hate and self-hate. What depression is to me, okay, it's the mind turning on itself. That's what it is to me. That's how it's been described by my therapist as well. It's the mind going to war with itself. Do you know that feeling when you're standing on a tall bridge or a cliff or whatever, or you're driving your car? You're standing on a tall bridge and you get the urge to like jump off, or you start getting scared that you're about to jump off, even though you know you're not, right? Even though you know that you're not going to jump off, you get that feeling that you might want to do it, or you might just do it anyway. Or when you're driving the car, you're having a really good day, and you're driving your car, and you feel like, oh, I'm going to go into head-on traffic and cause a crash. You know? You don't think that I'm about to do that, but you definitely think, nah, like there's a part of your brain that's self-destructive and wants you to do it. And you're not doing it, of course. It's nowhere near as powerful as your actual mind, but you're still thinking, yeah, maybe I could give this a go. That's the same part of the brain. Now, by the way, I don't know this, right? This is something that my therapist has told me when we were talking about it the other week. He thinks that's the same part of the brain that defines depression. Your brain is literally going to war with itself. Okay? If your brain is doing that, and your brain is naturally very powerful, logically, right? The overwhelming majority of people who tend to self-delete because of depression tend to be the ones with the higher IQ. Why? Because they logically come to the conclusion that they don't belong in the world anymore, that when they wake up, they're very sad, their life isn't really worth living, and they're no good to anybody, so they self-delete, they take themselves out of the equation, right? Because their very powerful brains have logically told them this is the right course of action, and so they do it. Problem is, they've been fooled, because depression is not a logical problem. It is an emotional, hormonal problem that you can't solve through just thinking it out and doing logical things. You can solve it through therapy, and that's the only thing that I'm going to tell you works. Forget your meds, forget your talking to strangers, forget anything else in the world. The one thing I can tell you will work universally, at least for me, right? I don't know anybody who's gone to therapy and they're not cured of depression, but I don't know anybody. I've been in support groups, I've been around friends who've had severe depression. I don't know anybody who's gone to therapy and not been better because of it. Some people are on a 10 out of 10 in terms of mental pain, and therapy brings it down to like an 8. Not much, but it takes the edge off, Whereas some people are on a 10 and it takes it down to 4 or 3. Like me, right? And so it helps immensely. But I don't know anybody who goes to a good therapist and doesn't come out better, with a better handle on their depression, and at least you know what depression is. So, if you are a logical, smart, brainy person, you are highly susceptible to depression. That's who you are, okay? You know why? Because when you were younger, and this is a big statement that was also said to me by my therapist, when you were younger, you are incredibly brainy, and so you're able to think through most of your problems. As such, your emotions are incredibly quite stunted, which is where we get the stereotype of the geek, the nerd, who doesn't have much of an emotional handle on things. The Sheldons, right? That's where that comes from. You never had to emotionally think about your problems like everybody else does. You logically thought about your problems, and you forged ways and a meaning and a character in solving those problems through logic. Crazy, I know. But that means that when you get to later on in life, you don't have the emotional weapons to deal with things like depression, to sit back and look at the world and to smell the flowers and to feel the wind on your face and all that kind of stuff. You don't have the equipment to deal with that. And so later on in life, it's about therapy is about building those tools to be able to recognize what depression is and tackle it on its own terms, rather than your terms that won't work. So, get yourself a therapist, Jake. Alright? Get out there. I don't know what you're going to say for the rest of this. I'm going to read it. And you may already have one, But if you don't, get yourself a therapist. And this goes to all of you out there who are brainy, you know, quite clever people who are in the hobby. If you're in the hobby, you have a high IQ, generally, right? It just is what it is. You're either creative, or you're a scientist, or you're whatever, you know? Don't get me wrong, there are some mouth breathers around, yes. But, like, on the large, most people who are in the hobby have a high IQ. Just is what it is, right? Therapy. Let's build those emotional tools to deal with it, eh? Anyway. A few weeks ago at a local tournament, I spent a lot of time wrestling with this horrid sinking feeling in my chest and gut. I'd been looking forward to this tournament for months. It's a university-run one, and... Sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to cough down the microphone there. It just came across me pretty quickly. And as I got there, I just struggled to engage with it at all. At one stage, whilst I was playing, a nice gentleman, I looked around at the guys playing in the university hall around me. I looked at the way they were dressed, the way they looked, the way that they spoke to each other, and I just thought, wow, I'm worthless as a man. What the hell am I doing here playing with these toy soldiers? Dude, that's not you talking. That's not you talking. That's depression talking. That's not you. That's your fucking brain going to war with itself. You are guilty for having a good time. That's your brain going to war with itself. I was playing my Black Templars, of which I have a force of around 5,000 points that I'm very proud of. And in general, my opponents, a lot of Eldar players, weirdly, were seeming to pick up on my mood and were just moving the game along without really engaging with me, which hurt quite a lot. Okay. I started to feel that I was ruining their day as well as my own. Since then, I've started to really resent the hobby and started to draw back from it. Not because of any incident or rules change, but because I feel immense guilt in that it may be holding me back from finding a long-term partner, job prospects, and the like. It does my anxiety no good. Also, to spend time doing a hobby that does not further my career in the slightest makes me feel incredibly down. In a word, I feel total guilt for even being involved in it in the first place. What should I do? Hollow Jake. So, alright, dude, first of all, therapy. Alright, you are in university and you are faculty in a university. You are in a very, very privileged position where you can go to a psychologist or a therapist and you can get yourself looked at very easily in university, right? Because several therapists work for the university, and if you're struggling, you will get you will jump the queue to get in there, right? So sort that out straight away. Therapy, 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 therapy. Number 2, realize that every single feeling you've told me about there is your brain going to war with itself. That's depression talking and telling you all of these things. They're absolute bullshit. The hobby is there as a salve, as a shield for you. And if you go and you develop those emotional tools to deal with your depression, the hobby will become your refuge and not your prison. I promise you that. I promise you that. I know because I had similar thoughts about the hobby and even this YouTube channel for a long time. Alright? I was so close to just stopping uploading. I was so close. Just being like, you know what? I need to focus on teaching now. You know, I need to just stop this and go and do my own thing and you know, whatever. Maybe do like one video a month or one video a week or something. And it was my therapist who turned around and said, does it make you happy? And I said, yes, but. You go, no but. No but. If it makes you happy, keep doing it. Keep doing it. We're giving you the emotional tools to deal with your depression. What about the hobby? And I said, yeah, I love it, but like, you know, there are other things that are more important in life. He said, no, there isn't. No, there isn't. Your enjoyment and your own self-worth, your own refuge in your own head, that's the most important thing in your life. Aside from your daughter. That's the most important thing in your life. Deal with it. Deal with it. Let the hobby in and let it be your shield. Let it be your salve. Let it be your cure. Let it in. And it will be. It will be. We can link the last two messages together with the Discord as well. Somebody has let the Discord in, right? Crom has let the Discord in, and it started to change his life. He started to go, okay, well, maybe if this is working, then this could work as well, and that could work as well. And he started to link all things together, and he's building emotional tools by group therapy, because that's what it is. Let's be honest, that's what the voice chat is. It's group therapy. It's a bunch of dudes shooting the shit and talking about life and feeling that they're not alone anymore. That's what that is. Okay? So Jake, therapy first, mate. But first of all, realize where those thoughts are coming from. They're not your natural thoughts. That's your depression talking to you and telling you to give up. Don't give up, right? Get some more Black Templars, have some fun, and start defining your hobby as what it is, and that's your shield. Go out there and use it for what it's meant to be used for, okay? You have no reason to feel guilt for doing the things that you like. I can't believe that we have to say that to people, but we do, because I feel it as well. You have no reason to feel guilt for doing the things that you like and that give you peace. If something gives you peace and doesn't hurt anybody else, that's nobody's business what you're doing. If it doesn't hurt anybody else and it gives you peace, do it. Do it. Give yourself the right to do it. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse and I'll leave. But I'll be back tomorrow with some more Arcs of Omen talk. It should be a big one tomorrow because I'm really enjoying the Arcs of Omen books. I'm thinking they're pretty well written, to be honest with you. I'm very pleasantly surprised. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow for some more Arcs of Omen. And I will see you on Friday for some more Hobby Nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See you later. Have a good one. Bye.